Today we are in Geneva, Switzerland. We are in Geneva, Switzerland, and we are just about to enter the Geneva Motor Show, the 100th anniversary of the Geneva Motor Show, and we're going to go check out all the latest EVs, all the latest combustion engines. So let's go in and let's take a walkabout and check it all out. Then first up, we have the Lamborghini Terzo Molino, the concept car from Lamborghini, based on the Lamborghini Sian, a lightning strike from the future. And then we have a spectacular new car, which is the follow-up to the Camaro Evo 37, launched earlier in 2021, but now with an all-wheel drive and roughly 100 more horsepower. From a new turbocharger and other hardware included, it routes nearly 600 horsepower to both axles through a 6-speed manual transmission modified with shorter gear ratios. And then surrounding the Evo 37 are the inspiration for its development, and those are the legendary Lancia rally cars. Then moving towards the most spectacular and largest display at the show this year, and that is Renault's EV display, advertising all of their new EVs in the Renault range. So let's do our walkabout and let's check out all of these new Renault EVs, the incredible Renault 5 in these various luminous colors. So let's check out the detail. And then we move across to the Dacia stand right next to the Renault stand, and this was previously a Romanian government-owned motor vehicle company bought out by Renault, and the Renault has now based all of their Dacia vehicles on the Renault Duster and various other models, and these are the EVs, so let's check them out. And then we have the little bubble car, the 2024 Microlino EV city car, vintage style charm in a tiny little package. So let's walk around and check the people getting in and out of this tiny little bubble car. There in the back, for example, is a little tricycle that you can use in the city, prepared in the back of your little Microlino, an exceptional little car for the city. It looks like it can hold two small adults. There we go, a spectacular little car and perfect for city driving. And then the spectacular radical retro mod Alfa Romeo Giulia, which is now ready for production. The Giulia is reimagined and exaggerates all of the features further in its carbon fiber rebody. And then we have the MG Rover EVs and sports cars, originally a British motor company bought out by Nanjing, China, and let's check out these incredible EVs and sports cars from MG China. And then once again, another Chinese EV, not just any Chinese EV, the new IML6, the Chinese Tesla Model 3 rival with 500-mile range. And also included, I note, is the LM7, specifically produced for the Chinese market here on the floor today. Oh, and across the way I see a black Ferrari. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Ferrari officially, but rather a black Ferrari supplied by Zenith Ferrari in Lausanne. Very disappointing, Ferrari ain't here today. Oh, and we do have an American EV. We have the Lucid stand with a selection of the latest Lucid EVs. Originally launched in the US by the previous Tesla CEO. Not a bad EV, spectacular design, but just once again another EV at the Geneva Motor Show this year, in various different forms, four-door sedans. Then across the way, do I see a Land Rover Defender? Is Land Rover here in the Geneva Motor Show this year? No. This looks like a BYD, the Chinese SUV. Looks almost like a Land Rover Defender 110 in actual fact. And I believe this is a very sophisticated SUV, being able to move sideways like a crab or make a complete turn on the spot thanks to a 4 electric motor, a drive system, one in each wheel. Moving upstairs, I've got to say I've been very disappointed in the ground floor. Not the Geneva Motor Show that everybody's used to, dominated by EVs from China and France. Nothing like it used to be. The upper level is dedicated to an adrenaline zone and a classic car gallery, and it's dominated predominantly by two local suppliers here in Geneva. For example, here is a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup from one dealership here in Geneva, a spectacular example, I've got to say. And then when we move over to the adrenaline zone, you will also note that it's a very large floor space with very few cars, and on that adrenaline zone we only have two dealerships that have provided cars. Here, for example, is a McLaren Longtail from Claassen. And we have another McLaren also from Claassen. Wouldn't have been the case with the original Geneva Motor Show. Here we have a Senna also from Claassen, and right next door we have a P1 also from the same dealership. The dealership must be empty currently. And then we move on, a pretty spectacular P1 at that, all in carbon fiber. And then we have the latest Ferrari, also a beautiful example in Rosso Red, pretty common however. And then of course we have the legendary F40, also from the second dealership here in Geneva. Very disappointing because Ferrari is not present at the Geneva Motor Show. Lamborghini, BMW, Porsche, all of the mainstream supercar and luxury car brands not present. A Porsche, a 959, also from one of those dealerships. And just look at the empty spaces between all of the cars. And then of course we have the Bugatti Chiron, also from Claassen. There you can see the name below. And then a Pagani, also from Claassen. Pagani would have been here and represented at the Geneva Motor Show, but not this year. And then we move on and we have a spectacular Aston Martin Valkyrie, as you will note, also from Claassen. A spectacular example, however, but look at the spaces all around it. Being my first trip to the Geneva Motor Show, I was looking forward to a spectacular, world-renowned motor show, but I have been extremely disappointed in the 2024 Geneva Motor Show to date. Just check it out. These are so-called cars of the 80s and 70s and 60s, but I've got to say a very sparsely populated floor. And there we go, we have some unusual vehicles, a so-called flying motorcycle or a hovering motorcycle, and then a few other unusual vehicles on the upper floor. I've heard from the media that the Paris Motor Show in October last year beat the Geneva Motor Show hands down for content, and I've got to say, looking at what I'm seeing today, it is definitely the case in the Geneva Motor Show this year. And then we move on to the classic car gallery right next door to this particular display. And once again, just note the wide open spaces between all of these very special classic cars, starting off with a Porsche 912 and a Jaguar E-Type. Real beautiful examples, but once again, all from one dealership here in Geneva. And there we go, there's a very beautiful Ferrari Dino, Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, but also I've got to say they're all very common classic cars, and there is nothing really spectacular other than the Lamborghini Miura in this particular interesting color, but nothing extra spectacular on the classic car gallery at all. This might be interesting, a nice Maserati. And then right next door to the classic car display we have a Renault Scenic high performance SUV, and I've got to say it's the only one in a huge football field, nothing else around it. It looks as though it's all alone on its own, which it is. Very disappointing. I thought they would have a few restaurants in the same class. The vintage zone has a Maybach, an early Maybach, beautiful example. Then a very unusual Zeppelin motor vehicle. Never seen one like this before. Quite unique. Just check out that beautiful or interesting design. It has portholes on the roof of the vehicle. Very special. And then when we move down, we have a few older vintage vehicles. There we go, from the early years of motor vehicles. And then moving on, we move across to the next display, which has a beautiful selection of Bugatti, early Bugattis in a spectacular, this one in a spectacular aquamarine, beautiful car. I don't think that's the original color, but a beautiful example of the Bugatti, early Bugattis that is. There seems to be an auction or a discussion in this particular classic car or vintage car gallery. Not quite sure what it's all about. And here we have a Bugatti town car, also a beautiful example. Just check out the size of this machine. A beautiful car with beautiful lines. There we go. Not saying that these Bugattis are not special, but I would have expected a lot more variety at the Geneva show. And then we have a winning cars of the year, I presume, for 2023. And all of them are EVs in various classes, mostly Chinese EVs, a Volvo included, which is now also Chinese owned, and then of course one BMW all on its own, a Series EV, which I presume was provided by a local supplier here in Geneva. These are the top so-called winners for the 2023 year, each in their own class. I've got to say I'm very disappointed in the Geneva Motor Show to date. Being my first Geneva Motor Show, I expected a lot more. However, let's move on and let's check out the further displays. We'll move back downstairs. I see I've missed the new Alfa Romeo Resto Mod. And then right next door, we have this incredible Totem Automobili, which unveils the incredible GTA Modificata, a 799 horsepower Alfa Romeo Resto Mod, which I've got to say it is a stunning example of a reimagined Alfa Romeo. Just check out that incredible and detailed interior, beautiful design. They are still in their prototype phase and will be limited to just 5 production model examples, each carrying a staggering price of 1.1 million euros, or about 1.8 million dollars in the current exchange rate. A hefty sum indeed for a Alfa Romeo Resto Mod. For this hefty price, Totem has ditched the original panels and replaced them with new lightweight carbon fiber parts. Much of the prototype's bodywork has exposed carbon fiber, but the thoroughly revised front bumper has a gorgeous finish at that. Totem has also installed 2-piece forged mag wheels, beautiful ones, crafted with new LED headlights and fitted at the rear with distinctive LED taillights. And then on the performance front, there's lots to talk about. For starters, the entire car is now underpinned by a carbon fiber monocoque. Both the front and the rear axles have double wishbone setups, and huge Brembo 6-piston brakes are found up front, while the rear are Brembo 4-piston units. Then there is the engine to talk about. Totem Automobili has turned to a custom-sourced 3.2-litre twin turbocharged V6 that weighs just 165 kilograms and produces a monumental 790 horsepower, an incredible resto mod from Totem. There you go, that was the walkthrough on the 2024 Geneva Motor Show. Quite disappointing, however, for me, because all the mainstream German, Italian brands were not present. Example, Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, etc. Just not present at the motor show. I'm not sure why, but dominated by the Chinese EV and combustion engine market. And then of course a big presence from Renault, with a massive presence on the floor at the 2024 Geneva Motor Show. So still enjoyable. So I hope you enjoy the walkthrough of the 2024 Geneva Motor Show. Hope my comments have not been too negative, but it's my first Geneva Motor Show and I'm very disappointed at what I see. But if you liked our video, don't forget to give us the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.